Today, President Biden got an update on efforts to tackle the fentanyl crisis in the United States. Federal regulators say a lot of the materials to make fentanyl are being shipped in from overseas and then turned into the drug itself in Mexico or here in the United States. President Biden says his administration is working to crack down on those shipments.
We're working trilaterally with Mexico and Canada to quickly share information on drug trafficking trends and threats. Congress also has to step up in this fight. Start by passing my supplemental budget request for national security priorities, including significant resources to help stop the flow of fentanyl into our country.
Fentanyl was originally created as a powerful painkiller with doses in small patches you could put on your skin. But since it's a lab-created drug, different and illegal versions of fentanyl have created a deadly nationwide crisis. Some of the research on fentanyl is being done right here in our own backyard. Apple Valley News Now's Alyssa Warner spoke with one of the experts at PNNL about the effort to get ahead of this crisis.
The possibilities for fentanyl are almost endless, and not necessarily in a good way.
The difference between fentanyl and some of these other ones is that it is synthetic, meaning you can quickly create it in the laboratory and you don't have to extract it from a living plant.
Dr. Kabrina Rada is a group leader at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, focused on analytical chemistry and instrumentation, and an expert in lab-created drugs.
Because of the speed with which new compounds can be synthesized, it's almost like the Omicron variants of COVID, except it's faster because you can create it in a lab. The people who are doing this just know that they need to avoid the combinations that are banned, but there are plenty other possibilities that can be tried.
Think of a Christmas cookie. You can ban cookies with red sprinkles, but all a drug dealer has to do is start using green sprinkles instead. And Dr. Rada says that makes regulating fentanyl very, very complicated.
What has occurred in certain instances, both in the United States and in other countries where they've tried to do this, is they unexpectedly contribute to the proliferation of some of these compounds.
A medication you get from the pharmacy has to go through years of testing and strict regulations so that we know what it will do and what the side effects could be. Drugs you buy on the street, or more recently on social media, don't go through that process.
People are taking these things without any understanding of the safety. And so it both speeds up the proliferation and also increases the risk.
Fentanyl is a growing and deadly problem, but Dr. Rada says it won't be the last, and figuring out how to spot the next problem drug before it turns into a crisis is one of the projects that PNNL is working on right now.
What we need is, and what we're starting to develop, confident detection methods to identify a compound even if we've never seen it before.
That's called non-target analysis. You could think of that as a process that can look at a white powder and figure out what it would do to your body. It would also show whether we're dealing with a new type of dangerous drug or just a new type of sand.
We're also trying to develop capabilities that get you more into predictive space, so we can not only understand what's happening right now or what just happened, but what's coming ahead of us that we need to start preparing for.
Predictive space is determining what's possible. And yes, that involves artificial intelligence.
The thing to bear in mind is what the generative models are doing is exactly what humans were doing before they had the generative model tool. However, being able to predict a structure is a far cry from actually successfully producing it.
Which is to say, the computers can speed things up, but they still need human insight. And Dr. Rada says knowing what's possible gives researchers an idea of what we might need to be prepared for in the future. For Apple Valley News Now, I'm Alyssa Warner.